And yeah, we definitely have space for supplies. Lost a crew. That's fine. We'll get more. Let's fill a mirror catch box. Very tempted to try exploring the Untersee, but our terror is already very high. And there are a lot of terror increasing things down there that can honestly just be hard to see sometimes. So, yeah, no. As much as I'd love to find Hideaway or something, we are playing with fire as it stands. So we are going to go back through here, possibly stop off at the Isle of Cats, Visage, Rosegate, to get their port reports, and also because Visage at least can help lower our terror. Stop off at the Melting Isles to lower our terror further, then the Iron Republic to pick up fuel, and then to Gator's Morn to drop off that passenger, and then back to London. The Fathom King's Hold, Lorcan's Port, named for that most enterprising of drownies. Phosphor cells burn green, somewhere below the king waits. Like an iceberg, like a bizarre master's scheme, like the Neath itself, most of the hold is invisible. You see only a tiny portion of sculpted coral. The rest waits below the surface. The Fathom King's bone rooms and aquaria, his pearl snares and his dining chambers. Okay, we can trade for drowning pearls here if we have Scintillac. We can trade for a white mully flower, which apparently is good for going to Dahut. Port. And we can try to put a Blimmingan ashore. We grabbed an extra one when we were on the outer shroom, so we have one to spare. It's dark and damp here, with many crevices where it can hide. The Blimmingan should flourish, so long as it avoids the Fathom King's notice. A gift from the Mycelgian mother, the porter says dispassionately. The Fathom King will be pleased. Here, for your trouble. You now have a drowning pearl. You now have one propagation, the Fathom King's hold. You now have one propagation, Blimmingan's abroad. And we obviously lost the Blimmingan that we put ashore. Alright, let's have an audience with the Fathom King. The Fathom King is the lord of the drownies, those dead who won't stop swimming. By some accounts, he's the lord of all who die at sea. Bring him a story to tickle his curiosity. Well, we have a lot of these stories, so we can spare one. The porter has the skin of a shark. She has a drowned woman's eyes. It is not permitted to look at her hands. Yes, she rasps. That story is sufficient. She opens the valves of pearl and permits you to pass into the conduit. The throne cyst. This is the salt-blown heart of the hold. The Fathom King floats in his throne, a gem-starred bowl of sea stone, the size of a banqueting table. He's wearing a dressing gown of purple brocade soaked dark with salt water. He leans his chin calmly on his hand. Beneath the surface of the water in his throne, his hidden regions pulse, constantly, insistently. We can plead for the life of a crew, though that is a very expensive way to gain crew. We can witness an execution. We can ask a boon of the king. Let's see. 2 silent guards in thorned exoskeletons drag a babbling drowning forwards. No, she shrieks. I'm no friend of spiders. I have never purchased silk. It was a gift to your complexity. I have always been loyal. Or we can ask a boon of the king. You've brought the king a story gift. You may ask a gift in return. It's impossible to know what you'll receive. Okay, I'm curious about the execution. Yeah, I knew that was going to have grain terror, but yeah. A spray of seawater. The guards fling the drowning into the pool. The splash soaks the king, but his dignity is unmarred. The pulsing in the pool intensifies into threshing. The drowning sinks from view, and the waters grow thick and dark. Next, the king says peaceably. Let's ask a boon. Ooh, 5 fuel. Yeah, we needed that. Now we can keep the light on. That 2 terror that we just got from watching the execution, probably worth it, because if we can keep the lamp on, that'll slow the rate that we're gaining terror just being out and about. Black fire, the king intones, risen from the sea. Remember me with its vapors. He smiles directly into your eyes. The audience is over. You return to the surface. Hunched, plated, scuttling slaves haul baskets of wet coal behind you. As much as these little black squares are bothering me right now, we have to ignore it. Our terror is running way too high. Now, if we were to sell sunlight here, we could try, but we only have a 39% chance of managing it, and I'd rather just take the surer bet, taking it back to London. Now we're going to go to the Melting Isles and then the Iron Republic to restock on fuel, or at least as much fuel as we can fit. Really hoping that they eat a couple crates by the time we've made it there. Granted, the fact that we've lost a couple of crew on this venture means they're using even less supplies. I don't know, if we're still sitting on a ton of supplies by the time we get to the Iron Republic, maybe I check and see if any of the officers haven't had their quest started yet. Like, I need to have dinner with them. Okay, yeah, we're saving that strange catch for something else, I'm afraid. We really need to get more of those. Okay, we need some coffee for that, although it is actually possible that maybe we could buy it here? Okay, that's worth a shot. Let's see if we get lucky and run into that shop. Yeah, okay, we need to head to the Chelsenate for him, but I think there was another thing there that was blocking us. Okay, yeah, we haven't dined with Maybe's daughter, so... You also require strange catch. We really need to get more of those. Okay. You require soulless fruit and Z soup. You are expensive, not that I'm surprised. So, are you bored, Blimmigan? You can see the indentation of a porthole on the rim of its cap. It must have been pressing its face to the windows again. Is it bored? A ticklish thing. The Blimmigan flails and squirms as you tickle it. Its high-pitched warble is almost certainly giggling. When you stop to check that you're not actually hurting it, it wraps its tendrils around your fingers and pulls your hand back. Apparently it is enjoying itself. A weary roll of the eye. Play, that eye roll says. Play. I played once, in the happy warrens of London, before you installed me in this floating coffin and made me eat dried food. Damn your play. It is an eloquent eye roll. I kind of wish we could just take him back to London if he's that unhappy. We literally found the Blimmigan, I think, before we left London the first time, so he was never the mascot. I feel bad. Alright, we can invite him to dine with us, and he doesn't have any special requirements beyond just the crate of supplies, so... He has an admirable appetite for so slight a fellow. Forgetfulness. Seconds, then thirds, disappear in small, hasty morsels. He is nervous, and not a gifted conversationalist. You do your best to plug the silence. When you ask about his past, he winces. I can't say, Captain. This... He taps the livid sigil on his temple, which twitches like a scorpion sting, has burned away my memories. I recall I have a brother, but not his name or where he is. I remember the names of the ships I've served on, the Implicit, the Bonnie Swan, but not their crew. How did he come by the sigil? He clutches his head. I don't know. I don't know. Thinking about it is like fire in my skull. Someone must have hated me very much to curse me with it, but I can't even remember my enemy. Captain, Captain, my sleep is riddled with dreams, Captain. Dreams of bells and candles. He paces the deck. I see a lonely house lit by tallow and wick. A bell is ringing. It rings now. Do you hear it? He scratches at his sigil, which has begun to bleed. Do you know this place, Captain? Can I plot a course? Yep, that'd be the Chapels of Lights. That's what I thought. Well, we know where that is, and we have to head to Wither after this anyway, so it's vaguely on the way. Oh, you need a searing enigma. Holy Invite her to dine with you, and ask her to remove her glasses. You'll need to tempt her with the very finest gossip of the sea. Eyes unconcealed. She removes her glasses, folds them neatly, and places them on the table. Then meets your eyes. Her own eyes are marvelously bright. The irises are amber. The whites seem to be flecked with gold. Yes, she says, I've been touched by the dawn machine. I believe you already knew that, or you wouldn't have asked me to remove my spectacles. I might be wrong. In either case, nothing has changed. Now that you know, we will still be wary of each other. She taps her thumb against her index finger. I am always the same, do you see? I do not change. I proceed on the same path I always have. I am only one choice, and I will be content only when I have no choice at all. Now, let's eat and talk. You promised me something special, and I will give you what little I can in return. So we did gain a mirrors out of that. I'm going to assume... Yep, there's more. She has the discomforting, even irritating habit of answering your questions just before you finish speaking. Protest. The journey is the destination. Each choice you make in future will depend on this one. The ship goes where the captain sails, and where the captain chooses to sail depends on where you've been. Accept what she says. She's right. If nothing has changed in response to your choice, then your choice was that of a pawn that chooses to move forward. Throw her out of your cabin. For God's sake, all you wanted was a meal and a chat, and she's doing philosophy on you. Yeah, I don't feel like we've done anything overly earth-shattering, so we kind of have been a pawn up to this point. I hadn't expected that. She picks up her knife and fork. Between mouthfuls, she tells you something of the nature of light as revealed through the operations of the dawn machine. I enjoyed this, she adds at the end of the meal. We should do it again, when you're ready to talk about salt. Okay, we did get an extraordinary implication, which I think you can combine a few of those to get another searing enigma, so we got part of it back. And we got a secret. We got 2 mirrors total. And we made a choice. So, Salt's song. Okay, we need to get Salt's attention to go further. Alright. I'll try to keep that in mind. Okay, to invite the cannoneer to dine with us, we need torpedo components, but we have some. We need 10 fuel. Okay. Fine. You have my interest, and we have the spare money, and we're right where we need to buy fuel. So, gotta buy one additional one, just because I don't think the game would freak out, because we would technically have what was in our bar. But just in case. And we definitely have the 5 supplies to do it, so... This is going to be about the most convenient that it's ever gonna be to have dinner with him. I have had enough to eat, thank you. I don't eat much, but I'd like to demonstrate some ideas I've had. Can you meet me on the afterdeck at 8 bells? Flowers of Flame. The cannoneer has found ways to calibrate your weapons for additional death and explosions. When the smoke clears, however, it is impossible to deny that the risk and expense of most of these tricks is a little too great. Only a couple of minor modifications are safe to use. But do you know, the cannoneer says, squinting thoughtfully, it reminds me of a story. The Iron and Misery Company were testing something, destroyed one of their outlying stations, destroyed it to bits. If you can find me the prototype, I can make it work for us. Can you take me to Demew Island? I used to know the factor there. He might talk. Ask how the magician came to be an engineer, after a meal of salt pork and a glass of good Greyfields. A drained glass. He gestures carefully with his hook. This makes card tricks difficult, but we know about mechanisms, we magicians. My specialty was mirrors, but there are principles in common. It was a good start, and I found that I needed to go to sea. Why? Because, Captain, someone owes me a hand. Once a friend, now an enemy. I am looking for a weapon to use against them. If we find it, I may have a favor to ask of you. Okay, we need to find a serpent's image in Irem, or occasionally other places up north. Oh, we're gonna poke the wound and ask about his medical career. He looks up from a wounded sailor. No, I mustn't. No, I have no stories I would wish you would wish to hear. Unless... Would that be Z-Trout? A dour companion. The doctor pushes more food around his plate than he puts into his mouth, and what he eats, he chews until all taste has been squeezed out. Between bites, he sips only water, evading all questions where opinion is sought. It is only when the subject turns to his trade that something flickers inside him. Old memories of pain and pride. I fear it was my training that let me see the world for what it was, its corpus infested by malignancies with human faces. How could I dare face Hippocrates in the hereafter if I just stood by and did nothing? Nothing! His eyes meet yours for the first time. Fierce, damned. If 2 drops of medicine can cure the body, could 2 drops of poison cure the world? For a moment, it actually seemed that way. The fire fades. He pushes back his chair. Pardon me, Captain. I fear I have had my fill for today.